Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, I'll be doing a review and how to play video on Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Mayhem, the card game, so let's get into it. So Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Mayhem, the card game, is a D&D themed battle royale where you play as various heroes in the Dungeons & Dragons universe and fight it out to be the last hero standing. So you can choose your own hero from the barbarian, the paladin, the wizard, and the rogue, and use their deck to battle your way to victory. But let's jump into how to play the game so you know a little bit more about it, and then we'll go into my full review after that. All right, now that we got the game out, let's walk through how to play. So to start off, you're going to have 4 different decks for each possible character that you can play as in the game. A life tracker token, as well as heart tokens to represent damage on a shield card. So again, to start off, you're going to pick a character for each number of players that is in the game. So for example, let's say we took the wizard deck and the paladin deck to play as in a 2-player game. At this point, you'll take the reference card and the health tracker for your player, and then you can leave the remainder of the deck to the side as your draw pile. Same thing for the other character, health tracker and reference card, and then their deck will go to the side. You can give a pile of hearts to one character and a pile of hearts to the other. Again, you can split these amongst yourselves. They don't really have an impact on the game besides just tracking. You can set the other player decks off to the side, and then you'll place your character's health tracker token on the 10 spot to start the game. The next step is rather simple. Every player draws 3 cards, and then the youngest player will be the player to go first. So let's say the paladin, the red character, happen to be the youngest player in this case. So what they will do is they'll start their turn by drawing, and now they can play 1 card from their hand. And so each card is going to have a corresponding symbol on it. And then what happens for each symbol is simply referenced on the reference card that you have next to your player. So for example, a shield will block 1 damage, the card symbol will draw a card, swords will deal a damage, lightning bolt will play an extra card, a heart will recover a hit point, and then each character will have a couple of unique mighty powers. And so mighty powers are just, again, listed on a specific card, but these are unique to each character. So for example, in this turn, the paladin could choose to play a shield, and they will leave that out. And now what happens is this shield will remain until it's destroyed, and it basically blocks 1 damage. Since it had a draw card symbol, I'll now draw a card, and then that was my turn. And so at this point, you would discard any cards that were used, unless they happen to be a shield card, like in this case, and they'll stay up. Now we'll go to the next player's turn. Again, they'll start their turn by drawing, and now they can play cards. So in this case, I might do Knowledge is Power. I'll discard that, and then draw 3 cards. And that was their turn. Again, play will continue back to the other player, drawing a card, and then choosing a card to play. So in this case, let's say they did this one for the most justice. It will do 3 damage to the other player. So you'll just simply bring their hit points down by 3. Again, this is a card that does not stick around, so this would go into your discard pile. One thing to note is if you happen to play all the cards in your hand, you actually get to draw 2 cards at that time. And if you happen to have used all the cards in your draw pile, you just shuffle your discard pile back together to form a new draw pile. Now it would pass to the other player's turn. Like I said, some cards will allow you to play multiple moves. So in this case, I could use Speed of Thought, which allows me to play 2 additional cards for the turn. So in this case, let's say I do a Mirror Image to do a shield, and then let's say I do Lightning Bolt as my second card, and so that would do 3 damage. And so since this player has a shield, they would simply destroy the shield, discard it, and then take the 2 remaining damage on their character. Again, at this point, play will just continue from player to player until 1 player is eliminated and loses all of their HP. If you happen to be playing a 3-player game or more, when you attack, you just simply target the character you're choosing to attack. Some cards also affect all players, so be aware of that. But again, the card itself will specifically state if it attacks everyone or not. Other than that, most cards have an explanation of what they do on the specific card. So if you have questions, just read the card or consult the rule book. Now play will just simply continue back and forth until one player is defeated and loses all of their HP and the game is over. Other than that, these are pretty much all the rules that go into D&D Dungeon Mayhem, but if you do have questions, feel free to drop a comment below. But now that you have a better understanding of how to play, let's jump into my review. Well, now that you guys know a little bit more on how to play the game, how do I actually feel about it? Well, for me, this game is a ton of fun. Me and my girlfriend really love this game. We've played it a bunch in just the few short weeks that we've had it. And what I really like about the game is that it's super fast and easy to learn. The average game takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes to play. And really, 10 minutes is kind of a long game. And so as you saw when we covered the rules on how to play, it's very easy to learn. But at the same time, you can get pretty strategic with the game as well. And so each character's deck really has its own unique play style. It has its own advantages and disadvantages. And so I think the more you play, the more you learn the deck and how you can really use that to your advantage, especially against other players and their specific decks when you know their strengths and weaknesses. And so it can almost become like a chess match, battling back and forth to see who will win. And so like I said, the average game maybe only takes 5 to 10 minutes, but when it gets to that 10-minute, maybe even 15-minute mark, it's getting pretty intense and it's really down to the wire. And there were points where me and my girlfriend both had 1 hit point, going back and forth trying to survive until one of us pulled off the win. Another thing I really liked about the game is that it's very well balanced, and it doesn't really matter what hero you play as. At some points it could almost feel like the heroes were overpowered, and we felt like that when we first started playing, but after we got more into it and played each of the heroes a bunch and we knew kind of what cards they had, it really balanced out a little bit more and no single hero felt overpowered. Now the game itself does have each hero broken up into individual decks, and that's certainly how we suggest playing. But after we had played for a few hours, we actually even shuffled all the cards at random and then dealt out the 28 cards that you would normally have, mixed all the decks together, and it still played incredibly well, and it was a lot of fun. So I think that says a lot about the game, where even though they do have specific decks, everything's very well balanced, and the mechanics work really no matter what deck you play as, even if you happen to randomize it, which isn't really part of the rules. I also think the artwork is pretty fun and quirky, and if you're into D&D, you'll notice that all of the abilities and attack cards and spells are actually directly from the game and play just in line with specific character types, again, like the barbarian or the rogue or the paladin or the wizard. And so that was cool to see as well. So if you're a big D&D fan, you'll definitely appreciate that little attention to detail within the game. So again, like I said, when my girlfriend and I first started playing it, even though each game is maybe 5 to 10 minutes, we ended up sinking in 2 to 3 hours the first time we played because it was that much fun to just keep playing and try all the decks and try all the different characters. I think this could be a great addition to a game night, especially if you're looking for a quick game to play at the end of the night before you go home, or maybe just to get things started off and get the night rolling. Or if you need to take a break between longer games, this is a great one to fill in because again, it's super easy to learn and super fast to play. Plus it's family friendly. The game is 8+, so it's great for all ages, especially like I said, since it is easy to learn and quick to play, so you don't need to have a huge attention span. And so it could work great for the younger crowd and adults alike. I also think this could be a great intro point for people that are just getting started in RPGs or maybe haven't played a lot of games like this. Again, the mechanics of the game are pretty simple. You've got the attack, you got the shield to defend, characters have their unique abilities, you've got the HP that you can deplete as you play. So again, it creates that RPG experience without having to sink hours and hours into the game, like a regular D&D session might turn into. Also, what's neat is that you can play 3 to 4 players as well. And so since it is an everyone versus everyone game, that really changes up the strategy and how you play. And it's almost like playing an entirely new experience when you play the game as well. Some characters also have abilities that will attack everyone or, affect everyone that's playing at the same time. That is factored into the game as well and works just as well with 2 players as well as multiple players. Now, we enjoyed this game so much that there's a couple expansions and I ordered them the first night that we started playing because I just wanted to get more out of this game. And it looks like the expansions tap into adding more characters with different abilities and different skill sets and classes. So that's really cool. So if you like this game, there's definitely room to add an expansion and pick those up to add more shelf life to the game. Another cool thing is the game is not very expensive. We picked it up for about 12 bucks. And so I think in most cases, you're probably gonna end up spending $10 to $15 on the game, depending on where you find it or if it happens to be on sale. So it's a great quick pickup, and I highly recommend adding it to your nerd library. And if you'd like to pick up a copy of the game, there'll be a link in the description below where you can do so. But if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button as it really helps out the channel. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. And if you'd like to help us pick out content, support the channel, and more, become a patron of ours at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And if you'd like to plug into our live streams and Let's Plays we do on the channel, you can follow us on Twitch at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Twitch. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.